Yeah, I think Braun had a good couple days of practice. He's a young man that certainly could be a cornerstone for us in the future. He has all the physical tools, being very long, lanky, athletic, his ability to get to the rim and make shots, make him a very, very nice player at this level. I thought he was really, really confident out there, and I thought it showed.
Just how tough is this for you, Coach? You're used to being on the other end of these games. I mean, you take a deep breath and you just kind of think about it.
Yeah, I think about it every night. You know, it's tough. We knew December would be really, really tough, but I think what you think about quite a bit is the Robert Morris and the Southern Miss game. We very well could have been 4-4 heading into that DePaul game, and now your players have a whole totally different mindset. Those were both two-possession games that we didn't really shoot the ball that well those games. So it wears on you. There's no doubt about it. But I think these games in December will certainly help us come January when we get into conference play. I took a little grief. Somebody tweeted at me the other day, and they really misunderstood and didn't listen to this press conference, so maybe they'll listen to this one. But it was an opposing school, and they were crushing me with my comments about the league RPI. It wasn't to bash the league RPI. It was certainly to let our players know that the games we're playing right now will get us ready for the league. And our league has a very low average RPI. We certainly have not done anything to help that. But we're not the only ones. One team doesn't impact an entire league. So the biggest thing is getting these guys better the next 25, 30 days and figuring out the right lineups heading into league play.
What kind of things are you going to do in these next month to help, are you going to maybe channel your inner Norman Dale to help along?
Yeah, just study the tape, figure out who plays well with certain people, what lineups can do certain things. Once again, we turned DePaul over the first half 10 times, so our pressure was pretty good, but it hasn't consistently been good for 40 minutes. So I think getting our guys to understand that's the way we have to play right now because of our offensive deficiencies with having a point guard out. Those are things you have to overcome with your defense. No matter if you're making shots or not, your defense has to be consistent. And, I feel like it's gotten a little bit better.
What's Francisco's future?
Well, right now, Dana, we don't know. Certainly doesn't look good. He was playing with a torn ACL. We didn't say too much about it. But it's a little bit emotional for me because I've only seen one other guy do it, and that gentleman played throughout the entire year with that torn ACL, and he now plays in the NBA G League. Kid named Jamel Morris. So we had Cisco talk to Jamel quite a bit throughout this process, but back in the summer is when he tore his ACL. We spoke to various doctors, and Cisco has a great foundation at home back in Cleveland with his dad and his mom and his stepmother's a nurse. So we had him seek doctors here in Youngstown, doctors in Cleveland, and all of them said that he would be able to play. And what happened in the Robert Morris game was a guy stepped on his leg, and it twisted it a little bit. So we're still kind of waiting on the results to see if we'll shut him down moving forward or not. Or if he tries to make one last comeback. But, what he's done has really been pretty remarkable. I think it shows his level of toughness, but I also think it shows how important Youngstown State is to him in his college career. He really wanted to go out with those seniors. He really wanted to try to go out a winner. So it's difficult to see him do what he's doing.
He had no shot to get a red shirt.
No, not with the number of, with the transfers and the number that he had been in college. I spoke to not only Elaine, but I spoke to multiple people in our athletic department, and they said he'd have zero chance to get it. And then once we heard that, that's when Cisco kind of decided. I left it up to him certainly was not my decision for him to play on it. I just wanted him to know the facts. And, I think we're at a point now where we've got to see what the doctors say moving forward. They're supposed to be reading the MRI today, and then I'm sure he'll make a decision.
What do you need to see from Jeremiah Ferguson, I guess Jalen Benson, now to kind of fill that spot?
Yeah, I think Benton was really good last game. I think he can score the ball a little bit. I think he knows, his time's running out. With Ferguson, with Jeremiah, he has shown flashes, but as any young guy that's playing for the first time a lot of minutes, he's going to make some mistakes, and he's got to really, really lock in and be a better defender. Forget offense, just try to keep your man in front of you and try to understand what we're trying to run offensively and get the ball to the right people. He's playing with two players that can really score the ball, and Cam and Braun, so he's got to just concentrate on his defense.
If I can just go back to Santiago, even if he's unclear to play, I mean,
Yeah, we knew. Yeah, we knew, Dana. I mean, we didn't come out and say that he had a torn ACL because I don't think it's fair to him. But I also think it's fair to him that, not only the fans, but it was an inspiration for our players. And anytime you see a guy playing that injured, it gives you a little bit more inspiration to try to win games. And he's been going through a lot. He's lived in the training room, and it's a fatigue thing, and physically it's a fatigue thing, and it's just tough on that kid.
So then, if he is able to clear as a coach, do you kind of got to say, is he going to help?
Well, he's barely practiced, and sometimes he gets mad at me because, he says, "Coach, I feel fine," but as a coach, you're trying to get him not only through that practice, but you're really trying to get him throughout the year, Dana. You see it in football all the time with linemen or positions like that. In basketball, it's so much different, especially being a point guard because the ball's in your hands quite a bit. So we even tried to move him off the ball. We played a lot of zone so we could get him in there because if you look at his numbers when he's in the game, he had a positive impact on our team, and that shows how smart he is.
But you're a month into your season. What would you do differently, maybe now sitting a month into it, sitting with the record is?
Yeah, probably recruit another point guard. I think what you learn is you got to have three in the stable. It's like a quarterback. You got to have three of them. That would probably be my biggest take is we probably should have taken another point guard in the 17 class. But we felt like Cisco was the guy. We knew he was the guy. He was a 12-5-5 guy. We knew Jeremiah would be a really, really good backup and a guy that we could groom to kind of take over when Cisco left. So we felt like we had two there. And then we took Jalen really, really late when he was kind of scrambling to try to find a home. So he was kind of our third one. Now with having one with little experience and one not knowing the system, I would say if we would have took a third, that would have helped us. We probably would have had a win or two more. But, it's at this point, that's hard to say because you just could never thought that Cisco would tear that thing.
So he has a torn ACL. Just to review, and you're just waiting to see what the status is.
Yeah, well, it was already torn, but we're waiting to see if there's any further damage to the cartilage or anything on the knee.
Going to Butler, this program obviously is familiar. The program's familiar, maybe not the kids because they went there before when Butler played in the Horizon World, when Butler was in the Horizon. Have you been to Hinkle?
Yeah, we were there quite a bit when I played at Cleveland State. I think it's top 5, definitely top 10 best venues. It's not the biggest, but it's one of the most unique. I think there's a lot of great programs in Indiana. Obviously, we're going to get to go see the Hoosiers as well. But, everybody calls Butler a mid-major. To me, they're not a mid-major. They're in the Big East. They've been to national title games. They're just a basketball powerhouse. Their coach, I know very well, Lavelle. He played at Butler when I was at Cleveland State, so I always admired his tenacity on the court. And, he actually joked with me at the conference, he was still in our conference. He was coaching at Milwaukee, and he told me about how last year was so brutal on him. And I asked him what he did, and he said, he reached out. He reached out to his former coach, Todd Licklider, and I think Milwaukee won 8 or 9 games last year. I think he won 4 or 5 league games, and it wasn't what he thought. His first year coming from Michigan, and then now I saw him in the summer recruiting, and he joked about our press, and so here's a guy that paid his due, and now he's the head coach at Butler, his alma mater, and they're playing really well. They just beat St. Louis by 30, held them to 45 points. It was 75-45. So the Butler way has always included a lot of things, but the number one thing was winning. When you heard about Butler, you think of wins. You think of Final Fours and title games and Brad Stevens and all the great players. So it'll be definitely an exciting atmosphere.